Determined women of destiny. Oh yeah, we'll be on the motivator. Come and see. Passion meets purpose every single time. Amazing women shining, letting their light climb. Stories to empower, courage to believe, courage inform, inspire. You will achieve. Women of destiny. Yeah.
Hey, good people, it's your girl Yvonne, the motivator. I'm so happy that you're here with me. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you like and you share. All of my guests have something to give, and if you share it with another woman, she gets to experience all of the empowerment, the inspiration, the information, the education, and encouragement that you do. So, sharing is caring. Share the show with someone. Also, I have to thank my sponsor, Joseph Slinger, and my partners, and that would be 520 Collective, Infinite Melodies, and Mr. C Live. So let's get started with the show. My guest is a very interesting young woman. She's a single mom. She has a full time job. She has a business. And she also has had to overcome mental health challenges. So I welcome to the show Kenya Finch. Hey, Kenya.
Hi everybody, how you doing?
Listen, I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show and be transparent and, just speak to the women. Many people don't know that most women under the age of 40, from time to time, have to deal with mental health issues. And it is more prevalent in communities of color. And people say, why? Because we stressed. That's why.
Right.
Not to ha ha laugh because it's funny, but yeah, it's funny to me that people don't understand the stress. So I welcome you to the show. So,
Thank you so much.
as a single mom working full time, how does that flow for you?
I would say it's not always flowing. It really depends, just like the ocean. Sometimes it's steady, sometimes it's real rocky. Sometimes, it just really depends. One thing I can say, managing being a single mother is really having the support. Um, and I know that's something that some people don't have. But however, I was blessed enough to have a village. And I feel like that's very important this day and age, or any day and age, to have some type of support. Your village is not always people that you necessarily grow up with. Your village may not be people that you would think would be in your, I would say, in your life for the whole time, but God sends people to make sure that you have what you need at that given time. So I would definitely say having a village. And keeping some type of support has definitely helped me, especially with mental health, because sometimes as a single mom, the struggles that you have to go through is not just solely, um, what would I say, not solely on you. It's also like it also flows over to your child.
Hmm.
One thing I learned in life, or one thing I had read before, is that the happiness of a child is usually dependent on the happiness of a mother. So, with that ideology in mind, I try to just remind myself to take care of myself, because if I don't, it would affect my son. So, those are some things that I have implemented, like my support, reminding myself that I have to take care of myself to be the best version of myself, to show up.
That's right. Show up. And it's not about being perfect because motherhood is not perfect. My child is 40 and I can think back, oh my goodness, I missed it at that point. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up every day, rolling up your sleeves, and just getting it done. Just getting it done.
Definitely.
You know, I know that you have a job that you deal with the community. You deal with folks. So, you know, you take your hat off being a mom. That's one stressor, and now you got to deal with clients, and they're not always the easiest.
Definitely. So, in my scope of work, well, one of the things I'll share is I have a degree in community health education. Um, Being an educator, or the reason why I chose that field, is because I've seen the health disparities, or I've seen the illnesses in the Black community that could definitely be preventable, um, or even mitigated with just a little information. Education goes a long way.
Mhm.
With that, I try to stay in health related fields where I can make a change or an impact on a person's health, whether it be small or large. Um, and I will be honest, with my job, sometimes I do get sometimes a little bit burnt out. You're taking the responsibility, or you're listening to the stressors of people who don't necessarily have resources, or maybe struggling on hard times. And, at the same breath, while you're listening to these people and you're hearing them out, you're providing an empathetic ear, you may be going through the worst thing, worst time of your life. Um, so sometimes it's hard to separate, but I think it's just a reminder that, you're here for a purpose, and your purpose may not always feel good. But as long as you do the best that you can to fulfill your purpose, or do what you feel that God has told you to do, there will always be a way, there will always be some way to work out for you. I've noticed that in my day to day. Um, and especially with the line of work that I do, one thing with battling mental health issues, I'm able to tell people like I've been there, I've experienced this. I've This worked for me, or this didn't work for me, or little did you know, I work this full-time job, but I also suffer from bipolar disorder. I also have ADHD. These are things that people think is a taboo to speak about, but I kind of use it as empowerment, or as an opportunity to educate people about mental health, because although you may not have a mental health issue, we all have mental health. And you have to take care of your mental health to make sure you take care of yourself, whether you have an illness or not. Um,
I love the way you put that. We all have mental health issues, and we do, because you cannot tell me that you go day to day and there's never a time that you don't have to interact with depression.
Definitely.
Depression is a mental health issue. Now, it may not be where you're locked in your room for 3 months, but it could definitely be that for 7 days you're in a fog. We all have to deal with trauma at one time or another, and anxiety. Those are the three top mental health issues that everybody goes through. So, yeah, you're right. You have to take care of you. You have to learn how to de stress. You have to learn how to back up. And sometimes you just have to learn how to shut up.
That as well. Shut up. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
be in the season of being quiet. Definitely. I have definitely had those moments where I wasn't able to maybe use my voice because I didn't have something to say. And I always read this quote. It's like, a wise man fills his mind before he empties his mouth. So
Ooh,
during
wait a
those
minute.
times,
We got to let that cook. Say that again, please.
a wise man fills his head before he empties his mouth.
Thank you. Thank you. As my mother used to say, they could think you're stupid. It's not until you open your mouth that you prove them right or wrong. Okay? She used to say that
Definitely.
all the time to us as kids growing up. And basically, sometimes, as she used to say this too, sometimes some things just don't need to be said.
That's true as well. That
And,
is true. And
and
as
and
I will say,
we are
go ahead.
so
I'm
quick
sorry.
to say No, it's okay. Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut you off. We are so quick to say, I'm gonna let you have it. What you letting me have? And if you keep letting somebody have it, what you gonna have for yourself?
That's another thing. If you don't pour into yourself, you don't got nothing to pour into anybody else. So I always look at that as well. Like what does your cup look like? Are you
Mhm.
running on half empty? You running on half full? Are you able to pour into another cup right now? And that kind of just talking about filling cups and stuff with my business, that's something that I haven't a cup that I haven't always been able to fill, managing working, my mental health and a
Mhm.
business, it becomes overwhelming at times. And I have to remind myself, where I tell people my business is based around health. It's cold pressed juice. And literally, when I tell people, I try to be transparent. There's not going to be every season I can pour into this cup because I have to pour into me.
Mhm.
Um, with that, you know, just being reminded that you can't tackle everything, but you could tackle some things as long as you put the effort and the intention behind it.
Step by step, we get it done. Tell us about the cold pressed juices. So people may not know what a cold pressed juice is, and then they may not even know the benefits of why it's so necessary to have a cold pressed juice.
Definitely. So cold pressed juices are basically, it's the way juice is extracted from fruit or vegetables, rather than like a typical smoothie or a fruit drink that you're getting in the store. A cold pressed juice tends to extract all the nutrients without exposing it to air, depending on the process that you use. Um, for me, the process that I use, it doesn't expose the juice to air, so that's why it's cold pressed, making it more nutritious to drink. You get more of the nutrients, you get more of the vitamins, and that's just one component of it. The reason why I really started juicing is because at a time where I wasn't the most healthiest, but I wanted to get on track, I was thinking about ways that different things that could help me. And I was always interested in juicing, but never consistent with it. But with the consistency of a little exercise in juicing, I was able to lose 100 pounds. And I was like, you know what? If my
Wait a minute. Wait, stop it. Stop it. And why
oh,
I'm stopping her is because I know this chick. You lost 100 pounds, Kenya. That was
a
100 pounds you had lost.
it was 100 pounds. So when I had given birth to my son, I was 250 pounds. When I had finished working out during the pandemic, I was 145 pounds.
Wow.
Yes, and that's with the combination of working out, still eating sometimes what I want, but in introducing these cold pressed juices in my life. Um, I'm not a person that typically likes to take medication or take something for certain things. I like to do things the natural way. And cold pressed juice is like one of the most natural ways to lose weight, to have your skin glowing, to detox, or just a refreshing drink at the moment.
Cool. We don't look at juice as being as healthy. I read something the other day that oranges were always meant to be eaten and squoze, so to drink it. They were never meant to be pasteurized, put in a bottle, and sold. And soon as they pasteurized oranges, the juice of the orange, that's when it became unhealthy for us. So people are running around here drinking a glass of orange juice a day, talking about, oh, I'm so healthy. And that is one of the most unhealthiest things you can drink is pasteurized orange juice. Now, if you do a cold press like you're talking about, now that's the healthiest way to drink your oranges.
Definitely. The thing with most store bought juices and everything is that being pasteurized, it's like a high pressure, like it's heating up the nutrients. So you're not really getting the nutritional value that you should be getting. Um, Also, with the juice that's typically sold, it's additive sugar, it's high fructose corn syrup. There's always something in there. Now the thing with natural juices is it doesn't tend to, have it does well, it doesn't tend to, it doesn't have artificial sweeteners, artificial colors. These are things that our body is supposed to have. So it's really a great way to introduce, like, fresh fruits and vegetables in your diet, whether it's in moderation or just introducing. It's Juicing is just a great way to just to begin overall health or get started on a health journey.
Cool. Um, what type of juices would you, suggest for like depression or anxiety or um, trauma, right? Because we know it's all linked. Everything we put in our body has something to do with what goes on with our brain. So, someone who's always depressed, what would be a good juice for them?
So I like to think about drink the rainbow. Um, a lot of times fruits, people don't know that certain color fruits are associated with different things that it can do in the body.
Mm.
Um, so say if somebody is maybe suffering from, mm, I want to say depression, you may want to try blueberries, a blueberry juice. If you're a person that maybe is more anxious, you may want to have something like, let me think. You can have juice with herbs in it. Instead of having the traditional, cold pressed juice with maybe celery and ginger, you could add a herb to it, like ashwagandha. I always say it incorrectly, but
Ashwagandha.
ashwagandha. Yes, you can add that to juices, and that can help, naturally.
Mhm.
But just overall, like, I want to say this, it has to be a specific juice also. By you taking care of your health, it sometimes take care of your mental. Knowing that you're taking the steps to do something good for your body sometimes changes your mentality. It makes you want to do better. And maybe like now that you're introducing the fresh fruits and vegetables, maybe you want to walk a little bit more. There's so much that it can do for you, but you have to be able to be receptive and understand that, nothing happens overnight. But one thing about cold pressed juice, like, I promise you, if you do like a 3 to 5 day cleanse, you probably lose 3 to 5 to 10 pounds. So that's how juicing works. If you really want it to work for you, it can. If your goal is weight loss, if your goal is just overall better oral health, if your goal is to get some nutrients, or if it's to improve your skin or to improve your hygiene too, because the stuff you eat, what goes in must come out. So, um, what you put in your body is very important.
So you looked at all of this, you lost 100 pounds after you gave birth. How did you say, okay, I'm gonna put this in business form?
So it really happened around the pandemic. I was working these jobs and I really just did not feel like I was doing my full potential. I felt like I can be helping people in a totally different aspect, in a better way that I would be able to reach people and be more personalized. So the pandemic really allowed me to explore and venture out. To be honest, I felt it in my spirit. I had one rough day at work, and I had this journal, and it said in the beginning of the journal, I think on the cover of the journal, it says, "You got this." And
Mm,
I used to write in this
yeah.
journal, and I would write in this journal, and this day I just felt very uneasy at work, and I took time to meditate and to pray. And one thing that I heard from God, or how I interpret this was from God, is that I gave you, it was something along like, I gave you all the tools. Why don't you think that I would carry you through?
Mm,
Um, So with that, I felt that in my spirit, like, he's given me all the tools. I have the ideas. I have, a kitchen. I have a juicer. I can get
mhm.
the bottles, you know. And I also remember, like, one thing for that is, like, anytime I ever put God in the equation, I have never failed. Never failed.
Never
Um,
will. Never will.
Never will. I don't. I
Hmm.
know that, and sometimes, especially as a person with mental health issues, sometimes when you go through things, it feels like God, forgot about you, or God wanted to punish you. Like at one time in my life, I used to question, like, like, why do I have to live with bipolar disorder? Like, out of all the things to give somebody, you had to give me this for the rest of my life. And then I had to think about it differently. Sometimes you go through things to be the blueprint for somebody else.
You never
And
go through nothing just for you. When you
definitely.
started talking about your clients early on, and you said, hey, I live with bipolar. Hey, I'm a single mother. Hey, I know how it is that the E and the S of ends never meet. It's lived experience. Someone asked me, well, what is your degree in? I said, lived experience.
Hmm.
And that is our gift. And people don't see it that way. Our gift is what we've gone through. We can take it and now we can give it to someone else to help them.
Sometimes God will let you turn trauma into testimony. I do believe that.
Mhm.
Um,
Poison, you take your poison and make it a purpose.
Definitely. Yeah. I can relate to that. So one of the foundations of like just I know we talked about so many things so far, but keeping God first. And sometimes I feel like that's people say that all the time. Keep God first, put God first, and everything will be okay. Sometimes that's not always easy. That don't look
Mm.
easy.
You know,
Because you running around, you gotta pick up so and so by here. You dating this guy, he ain't treating you right. Money's funny, there's so many different things that can happen, and it's just like you're distracted. So it's hard to put God first. But I notice when you do put God first, everything works out. And like you said, it's always going to work out. So that has also been like a foundation of managing my mental health or putting forth a business is going to God, And sometimes I'll be honest, I don't always go to him. And that's just because of the fact that the day-to-day in the world, but
mhm.
I'm never not reminded how blessed I am to have God's hand on me. Because there's definitely things I've been through, especially as a person that had as if bipolar disorder, there's sometimes that you do things that's very dangerous, some things that you wouldn't typically do. And I have been in situations where I shouldn't be here, but God has always covered and spared my life. So with that, I'm just blessed to be able to share this little information and be here and share, what future is in store, because as of right now, I'm not active in my business, but me and God are going to take some time together and we're going to refocus, realign. And sometimes you have to do that. And I plan to be back in business with blacker to berry and better than before. So that's something that I'm looking forward to.
I can't wait because I love your juices.
Definitely. You are one of my main supporters, and I
I
love seeing you when you have your juices. I love the
I
feedback.
love your juices. When you get back up and running, you do a commercial. I will put it on my show so people will know because the one thing I do know about your juices, they do exactly what you say they're going to do. Now, the pineapple ginger, that's pineapple ginger and what else that you
There's
put
a
in?
So usually, sometimes it's just pineapple and ginger. The pineapple and ginger, that usually is a detox. It can knock out
Don't go
allergies.
nowhere. Don't go
No,
nowhere. Don't go. I made the mistake that I was like, oh, this tastes good. So I started drinking some. I ate and then drank the rest later. When I tell you that Drano ain't got nothing on this juice, nothing, nothing at all. I was locked down for the rest of the day. But you did tell me that it was a detox juice, right? And so we get all these different things that have chemicals in it that, naturally can handle what we need. So before we end the show, please give us 3 tips to keep ourselves not only physically healthy, but mentally healthy.
3 tips to stay mentally and physically healthy. One tip of mine is keep moving. And
Mm,
I mean that in the literal sense, and I mean that in the mental sense. Whatever you do, if you can walk a few blocks a day, if you can maybe walk every other day, instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. But also when it comes to your mental health, like you may go through a rough time, you may be down, you may be going through stuff, but keep on moving. You know what they say,
you can't hit a moving target.
you can't hit a moving target. So it's
Hmm.
important to keep on going. Another tip that I would share is prayer. Mentally, there's nothing that you can't tell to God, and there's nothing that God won't show you. So keeping an active prayer life, whatever that looks like for you, I'm not going to tell you. You got to go in a prayer closet and bring out the Bible. You got to do whatever is best for you. And that simple prayer is just, God, keep me today. Say that and just know that God will do that. And another thing is just being mindful of what we put in our body, whether that's food, whether that's hair products, whether that's skincare. Be mindful because our skin is our largest organ.
Yes.
And we have to take care of ourselves. And a lot of things that is made today, like you know what they say, everything that glitters ain't everything that glitters isn't gold. And we have to remind these products that may smell so good, you put it on and this, that, it's probably not good for your health. It's probably an endocrine disruptor. It's probably causing problems with your pH. You never know, but just be mindful of what you put in your body. And that's just not only in a physical sense, but also in a mental. Be careful of what you're watching on Instagram. Be careful of what you're watching on TV, because your
Yes.
diet is not only what you eat, but it's what you listen to, it's what you watch, and it's what you do on a daily day. So those are my 3 tips. Watch what you do, keep it moving, and keep praying. So if that helps anybody, I really do hope that helps, because it surely helps me.
I thank you, Kenya, for coming on the show, being transparent, sharing with us, your story, which is just about every woman's story in one way or another. Um, so all of you that are listening, you can do this. You can do this. We're equipped to do it. You can do it. Just be encouraged, seek God, and just know this too shall pass. So until next time, good people, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.
Destiny of even more.